Hello, podcast lovers. Thank you so much for tuning back in. I am your host, Žana, and I'm so happy to introduce today a fantastic human being. Freddy and we have met just recently, but I was so captured by Freddy's inspiring ways of wanting to drive and help the community in his own ways, but also with something that he created for the community, which we obviously will talk about a little later. But Freddy, thank you so much for being here. I'm so grateful that you took the time out of your busy schedule. And, I'm so excited for this conversation because when we had our first personal conversation with each other, I felt immediately we clicked on so many things,
hmm
especially when it's about the inner self and the ego-driven mind and, how can we divide that and where can we go to better balance and harmonize ourselves internally. And
hmm
so, first of all, thank you so much for being here. Hi.
Hi. Yeah, I'm excited and equally grateful to connect with you. This is such good work, such necessary work, and to be just in purpose with it all.
Mhm.
It fills the heart. So I'm grateful to be here and sharing this space with you and whoever's listening.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so grateful. Yeah. So, when we had our personal conversation, we obviously talked a lot about the inner self and self, what we all carry. And I'm at times I really catch myself where I really had to divide where is it really that my own ego self is actually driving me more than actually my spiritual self. And I had a really challenging time at times to really understand because I'm such a go-getter by nature and I really want to get things accomplished and done. I'm such a doer. But at times I really had no idea how to kind of like harmonize it all and really find my own peace and actually also tell myself that it's completely okay to take a moment and to take a break and to not hustle in a sense, which hustling is a great thing and go and getting it, but also myself, my temple, my thoughts, my what I needed for me, my self-care was something that for a long time I really neglected because I really didn't know how to pay attention to that.
hmm
So I'm wondering, how do you feel about that whole concept of self and really doing that part of self-care for
hmm
yourself? What is that kind of like, in your opinion, you know?
hmm Yeah. So one of the biggest things that I use to tap into this self, that intuition that we all have, one of the things that I like to do, and it brings me a continuation of like a healthy balance. I like to be outdoors. I like to be out in nature. And I share with you, I watch the sunrise just about every day. Uh, that helps me to put things in perspective. It puts reality, like it just slaps me in the face. I'm sitting here watching it. I'm breathing. I'm alive because of it.
Right.
So it helps me to really focus on like who I am, what I am as human. Even if I don't understand all the dimensions of it, I don't know if we ever will, but just knowing that piece is there's a level of respect that and attention that I need to gather just
Mhm.
because of that truth alone. Now I take that of who I am, what I am, and then I try to align that with what I do. So I bring this energy into what I do. So that kind of helps me to be a little bit more aware of how I'm feeling. Am I
Mhm.
overworking? Am I tired? Do I need a break? Um, it's one day at a time. It's
Yeah.
really one day at a time. It's a
Mhm.
brand new day every single day. It's brand new. We've never
Mhm.
seen it before and we'll never see it again, you
Mhm.
know? So what are we going to make of it? Are we going to make a mess of it? Or are we going to make a chaotic heap pile of stuff to do out of it? Or are we going to try to maximize it in a way that's truly, truly beneficial?
Mhm.
And I think when you have that awareness of that, who you are and the energy that you bring transcends all of the to-dos, you know?
Right.
Do we get caught up sometimes? Yes, of course. Do we try to do 10 days in one day? Yeah, we do. Uh, but that's the good hustle and bustle in us, and that's okay. It's all about being able to pull it in and see what you're doing and recognize what you're doing and how you're doing it and how it's impacting you as well as others.
hmm Yeah, I wanna kind of circle back on the thing that you just said, where you said, the kind of like today is today and tomorrow's tomorrow, and you cannot do anything anymore about yesterday, which really
Hmm.
kind of feels to me like understanding and mastering to really stay within the now and this moment, and really understanding that what had happened already had happened and it will never come back again the same way how it happened.
Hmm.
And whatever is going to happen is also not in your control, because, in a sense, the only thing that you can somehow control the tomorrow is exactly what you're creating today, if
Hmm.
even that part,
Hmm.
you know?
Hmm.
And I think
Yeah.
sometimes that's really what's so challenging at times, because, we do all these to-do lists and we have so much on our plate, and we're trying, like you said, put like 10 days in one day, and we're
Hmm.
wanting to go and get it all done. But what really matters is that in this moment there's nothing other than this moment, that what we have,
Hmm.
and so still sometimes that's really challenging, because sometimes I feel like it's like a robotic movement. We have all these
Hmm.
things to do and we just work down the list, and even though we are in it and we are aware that we're doing it, but it's kind of like just working off a list, and at the end of the
Hmm.
day it's almost like we're not giving. I know, I for myself, I've not really given myself for so many years really the credit that I have done for that day, even though if that day hasn't been super productive. But the
Hmm.
fact alone that I'm with myself, working on myself and wanting to get better, and kind of like, really hone in on my godly characters that really are important to me, is something already. That's really
Hmm.
big, or me deciding, taking care emotionally of myself prior to maybe running after a business or running after a business deal. To me, in that moment, that was more worth, because I felt like if I'm emotionally happy and at whole, I can produce much better
Hmm.
versus working out of a need, like I need to get it done. I need to get it done. Like I feel like that energy, when we bring that in, it kind of causes a lot of, yeah, I don't even want to say negativity, but it does cause a little bit of
Hmm.
extra friction and extra noise that even doesn't need to be there, because we're pressuring in ourselves.
Yeah, yeah, that scarcity sort of mindset. And
Right.
I have to get, you know. I like this thing that I say often. I say be, do, have. Be,
Mm,
do, have, which really means I'm going to work on being first and what I am. Like, just learn how to be. It's called human being for a reason, right? Like, human being. Like, how can I be? Uh, then I take that energy of being and I go do. And then naturally I have, because I just received, because I just gave, you know. Um, but the world that we live in, I mean, the minute you're born, like it's the world is bombarding you with messages, and it's actually in reverse of that be do have. It's like go get it, go have. How much can you attain? What can I get? And your doing is kind of chaotic, so you never truly learn how to be. So now we're like wanting to go on vacations. We need to meditate. We need we need a passport. We're trying to get out of here. So all of that, like, what are we trying to get back to? We need to ask ourselves when we feel like we need a vacation, or you need to take a step back. Like, what do we want to get back to? What are you trying to get back to? And what we're
mhm,
trying to get back to is something that's already been given us. We
mhm,
have it. We have peace. We have joy. We have love. We have it all started right here. Like it started here. It was given to you the moment you were conceived. And if we're not careful, as you can see, the world will steal your awareness of it. You know, the world cannot steal it. It's impossible to take it away from you, but it can steal your awareness of it, and can have you acting out of fear, overly self-centeredness, ego. So it's important that we are facilitating some sort of daily practice that speaks to our intuition, that speaks to our spirits. That's that's number one, I think.
Right. Yeah. I mean, taking time for yourself, and like you said at the beginning, just you for instance, you yourself, you go to nature, you connect with nature and you like outdoors and you kind of like catch your breath and recharge your batteries out there in nature. For me,
Mm,
it's very similar, like grounding myself just really barefoot in like in a grass area or in the sand is such a favorite of mine to really just do, and just really breathing deeply in a
mm-hmm.
few good deep breaths is really where I feel like once I breathe it all out, like all that extra stress, I'm just leaving it
Mm-hmm.
all out. I'm not saying that it's going to disappear. I'm not saying that the issues then by just breathing will disappear. But I
Right.
found for myself that it gets a little lighter. It gets a little bit lighter where
Yeah.
it's like, okay, whew, I can, all
Yeah.
right, I know that there's a problem. Let me just regroup. Let me go and sit 10, 15 minutes somewhere or
Mm-hmm.
have a nice coffee or journal or whatever. There's many things that we can do to kind of like find back to our own
Mm-hmm.
happiness that you
Yeah.
described, like doing
Breathing.
childlike things. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Breathing is so monumental. And I think
So,
we take it for granted all the time, because it's just happening. It's just doing it, And I have a book behind me that's called Breathe, by James Nestor.
mhm,
And it's how can you see it? But it's called Breathe. I got a little glare on it. But I read this book like 3 times, and
mhm,
I do some breathing exercises that was recommended in there as well. But long
mhm,
story short, it's like we kind of take it for granted until we're not able to. And then when
right.
you're not able to breathe, that's all you want to be able to do is breathe, right? So we're in this constant exchange with the universe, like inhale,
Mhm,
exhale, inhale, exhale. And if you
mhm,
practice that, you get better at it. Your organs get better. They expand. Every time
mhm.
I go for a jog, I do all nasal breathing because it strengthens my lungs, you
Yeah,
know, so
yeah,
well. And you can really just kick out a bunch of dis-ease and disease with some
yeah,
breathing techniques.
yeah. Exactly. That reminds me on a technique that I sometimes use. It's called pranayama. I don't know
Hmm.
how it's correctly pronounced in English, but it's a specific breathing technique where you have many techniques of pranayama, but basically it's you breathe with one nodule and then with the other, and it's
Hmm.
specific amount of time that you breathe in and breathe out. And it's really helpful because it stimulates your brain cells. It kind of resets everything up in your brain again. It kind of like gives it a quick pause and then it resets it all, you know
Yeah.
but just for me also just simply breathing it all out, like for instance when I'm really irritated about something, what I really like to do, I like to breathe out really loudly, like I like to let it all out, and then I feel so much better,
Hmm.
because all that whatever it just festered here and whatever just accumulated, when I let it all out and I make an actual breathing sound with it, it feels
Hmm.
like it kind of opens up everything, it's kind of like the
Yeah.
blocks are like falling apart now, so it's
Yeah.
it's
And it brings you
helpful.
back to that now we were talking about, that moment.
Right.
Like this is another tool. If you can see my watch, it says
Yeah.
now,
Mm. Yeah.
and when I look at it, the time is now. The time is now. It's always now. Um, and when you're in that now, like when you are in it, like fear and other things, like it can't stay. Like it just cannot stay there. Like the stress, the
Right.
disease, it really just cannot stay there. You could bounce in and out. You might struggle to stay in this now and bounce back and forth a little bit, but through practice, you'll realize that I'm creating all the time and I'm
Mhm.
always in this space of now. And
Mhm.
if I have some sort of practice that's going to allow me to be my best self, because my best self is when I'm in that now. I'm creating tomorrow. I'm creating tomorrow right now. So I do that, and I try not to worry so much about tomorrow and what's coming up and what's going on. I really don't worry about tomorrow a lot at all. I just kind of do what I need to do today, and
Right.
then I shut it down, and I wake up tomorrow and I do it all over again. Um, The one of the coolest things I think that when I do sort of lean into the next day or come out of the now or if whatever you want to call it, I have a clipboard and I have a bunch of things on it, just to kind of, keep me creative. I have ideas, people I need to call or something like, oh, I thought of that person. I need to follow up with that. So in the evening, I'll look at that clipboard, which I have right here, and I have this clipboard. I'll look at it and I'll circle
Mm.
5 things that I'm going to do in the morning, 3 to 5 things. And that also gives me such a release because I feel like I've created a little plan to kick me off in the morning. I know what I'm
Right.
going to be doing, so it allows me to let it go for the evening.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, which
So,
which is so important because we do need to we have to give ourselves that self-respect of really being not doing anything other than what in this moment makes us really feel whole again. And again, it could be many things for many people, and sometimes people tell me, well, I love to work, you know. Okay, but I mean, being a workaholic is in the end it's not a healthy trait, like it's
yeah.
one thing to be a go-getter and really go out there and accomplish things, but if you don't have that harmonized balance between being a go-getter and being working so much and never recharging, it's almost like when you do have that time, you don't know what to do with yourself because you don't even know who you are anymore as your
Mhm,
as your own self. You just know the self that keeps working and keeps producing and keeps running after things and making things happen. But
mhm,
who are you really in those moments when there's no task or
mhm,
something maybe happens out of the ordinary that won't allow you for that day to work? Then what do you do
mhm.
with your time? Is it then
Yeah.
wasted in your life? Do you then tell yourself, oh, I'm wasting my day because I'm not doing anything, when
Mhm,
doing something could be really bothering yourself with self is a whole lot that you're doing because you are giving yourself attention, like
mhm,
you coming back to you, you're like paying attention to you, you're actually doing either childlike things, where it's like, oh, what is
mhm,
it that I used to like when I was a child? You
mhm,
all of a sudden find yourself drawing maybe a picture or painting a stone or things that you would normally don't do. But I feel like this is exactly the outlets that we should allow ourselves to have when we are really busy and we have so many responsibilities on our shoulders, that to
yeah.
just have that breathing vessel, where it's like, okay,
Mhm,
cool, when I'm doing this is all what matters and nothing else matters. Just that allowance, like
mhm,
not being so self-strict with self. Kind of like, okay,
mhm,
if I don't do that, then it means this and this and this, and it will have this and this ripple effect, which I'm not saying it won't, because
mhm,
sometimes there are things that have to have priority and they just have to get immediate
mhm,
attention. But then
mhm,
there's other things where it's like, okay, let me have my lunch in peace, for instance, or let me sit down for a nice little break, have a cup of coffee, you know, do whatever in
mhm.
that meantime, and then go back to it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, it's so important. Just to share some things, like every week I probably have at least 2 bonfires. I probably do at least 2 to 3 cold plunges. Like I'm out hiking, I'm near a river, stream, or lake. I end up jumping in. I always carry a hammock with me. Um, what else I do? I'll 2 to 3 times a week, I lay out in the floor. Like I just go completely horizontal in the floor with nothing. And I just lay there and I look around and I just wait for myself to see what happens. Did I fall asleep for a few minutes? Did I just feel really rested, just sitting still? I just
Mhm.
give myself the space to see what happens. And when
Mhm.
I do that, like I am just really grateful for a lot of things. I'm overwhelmed and full of joy. I feel like my creativity and what I'm trying to design or create and share is really clicking on all cylinders, and I don't feel
Yeah,
that pressure. I don't feel that pressure to get so much done,
right.
to get so much done. But it helps me to look at what I have done and what I am doing and say, okay, if I could judge it, if I could say, give it, if I could say job well done, then I would say it. And that's how I like to feel every day when I lay down to rest and restore and start again tomorrow.
Yeah, but I think even that part, just telling yourself that you did a good job today.
Hmm.
That's not a common thing, I think, that we do to ourselves. That's not so
Hmm.
common that we tell ourselves, hey, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of me.
Hmm.
No matter how you tell it yourself, you can think it to yourself, you can you know, um, tell it yourself in the mirror, you can write it down in your journal or whatever, but like just acknowledging that you are
Yeah.
masterpiece for just existing. Like you
Hmm.
matter just because simply you exist. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
even though all the dreams and goals are not hit yet or not met, it doesn't mean anything. It just means that you are, slowly getting to the part of understanding what you were even meant to do. Because for a long time, before I really found what I was supposed to do, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I always knew I wanted to be in hospitality,
Hmm.
but I never had an idea that fundamentally I wanted to become my own business owner. I
Yeah.
didn't know that, while I was
Yeah.
working in these beautiful hotels and restaurants. I had no
Yeah.
idea. But like, something, with time and with me spending, like you said, just laying on the floor and just really giving yourself that moment of
Hmm.
either while you're visualizing or while you're connecting with God or while you're just really taking a quick little nap to recharge. Those are all
Hmm.
things because I feel like when you then come back to the task that you needed to do, it's so much more efficient. You like
Hmm.
those little mistakes when we're overdoing and we're overworking, there's a lot of little mistakes that are happening here and there. Like, oh my God, I forgot the keys from my car. Now I'm going to walk back. It's going to be an extra 5 or 10 minutes. Then I will be this. But then if you go at it as I'm recharged, those little tiny mistakes in between, they just won't happen. I feel like the
Yeah.
execution part of it is much
Yeah.
more stronger. Does it make sense what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like, do you
Yeah,
get me? Yeah.
absolutely, for sure.
Okay.
And I think it's important to schedule that time. Like,
Totally.
schedule it. I try to cut my Fridays off at noon, Like I know that every Friday, unless I'm traveling and I'm speaking or something like that, like
Right.
I'm out, I'm done. Like, and yes, I'll take a call or something if someone calls me randomly,
Sure.
but just the whole idea of the schedule is clear. Go play. Go
Yeah.
play. Like go play on this beautiful playground called the universe. Like go play.
Right. Exactly.
Go check some things out. Go sit in a cafe and treat yourself to a really awesome plant-based meal. Like, do something. Go,
Totally.
I
Totally.
meet so many people. I meet so many people because as I move, I just want to be me and I want to encourage people to be themselves. And I like conversating and conversing with people. And I meet so many people. And the last person, I'm just thinking of her. She was from New Jersey. Uh, and I had a presentation coming up in New Jersey, which happened a couple of days ago. I met her like on Friday or something, last Friday. But I sat down in this lobby next to her. She was talking to someone else. She was just talking. And she didn't even see me sit down. And she turned back around. She was like, "Oh, hi." I'm like, "Hey, how are you?" And she was like, "I'm great. I'm fine." She was like, she said something about I have to do something at 2:30 or something. I was like, "Well, enjoy this moment." And I showed her the nail watch. I said, "Enjoy this moment. 2:30, I get here when it gets here. The 24-hour clock is a made-up thing anyway. Like, don't pay too much attention to it, and just
Right.
having fun, And
Yeah.
she goes, "Oh my God." And she goes, "Oh my God." And she goes, "You remind me of this book I'm reading right now." And I was like, "What's the book?" And she was like, "The Power of Now." And I was like, "Oh, Eckhart Tolle." Like, yeah, I read that a few times too. And she was like, "Yeah, you know it." So we're talking and we're talking, and I'm sharing love, no ego. And she's like, "Oh my God, you're my angel today." And she started crying, and she was like, "Thank you
Yeah.
for staying here." And she gave me like 3 or 4 hugs. And
Aw,
it was just really cool. I ended up giving her a card. We emailed each other. It was like, if I come to New Jersey, I'm going to reach out to you. You come to Virginia, reach out to me. And it's just beautiful. And she followed me on Instagram and she goes, I found my angel.
how cute. But I think this is really what life is about. It's those kind of moments because we need these random meetups, these random meet cutes
Yeah.
to remind us what really does matter, because I feel like those are signs from the universe that
Mm-hmm.
sometimes a question that you had is going to be answered now. And the fact alone that you had a Now Watch and she's reading that book,
Mm-hmm.
it's not even a coincidence. It's such a synergy of the universe that it
Mm-hmm.
had to happen in that moment for her to be reminded of something and for you to be reminded of something, because I truly believe people really always enter each other's lives because they are meant to teach something, that person in this moment. And it could be just a short little lesson that just lasted however long you guys had that conversation, or it could be a long time friendship, or it could be a businessship or partnership or anything. But
Yeah.
it does, it all makes sense. Like everything happens for a reason. Nothing, in my opinion, is a coincidence. Everything to me happens for a reason. And
Mm-hmm.
it's those kind of things, that sometimes we need those reminders, and then it's so amazing how he orchestrates everything to happen, how we meet specific people. Cause it's funny, me and you, and we wouldn't have this conversation 2 years ago, you
Right.
know? So
Yeah.
those are all things that sometimes we also forget when we are really in our midst now of wanting to be at a certain point, wanting to accomplish a specific goal, wanting to be already where we're so desire to be, but we're not. But
Mm-hmm.
then not seeing it as, well, I'm not there and therefore it is, but to see it as, I'm so grateful that I'm here because I know eventually I will get there, but I'm so happy that I'm here right now, and what
Mm-hmm.
is really happening actually around me. Because sometimes I
Yeah.
feel like we do these routine moves and we
Mm-hmm.
we don't pay attention. We don't,
Yeah.
and because I have a 7-year-old son, he's like, oh, did you see this in this house? It's blue. And I've drove by the house so often, I've never noticed it's that
Mm-hmm.
blue color. And I'm like, I actually have not. So those are the things that are so important actually to do pay attention. There's so much beauty around us, but sometimes we're
Yeah.
so buried by those responsibilities and we're so buried by the things that we
Yeah.
carry that, we miss the little magical moments kind of thing.
Yeah. It's so important, and
So important.
we are the cause of it all, like if it's suffering or if it's joy, like we collectively as humans, like,
Right.
we have this beautiful thing that's been given to us, like life. And life itself is like, wow. Like,
Mhm.
like I
Mhm.
get to do this, like, okay.
Mhm.
Like, okay, okay, let's see what I can do. Thank you. I'm so grateful for this,
Yeah.
it's so in the moment, you almost don't even have time to say thank you. Like, it's just like,
Right.
it's so like, but you say thank you, of course.
Of course.
But life itself is very beautiful. I like to share that. And what we make of it could be something totally different. And we need to take that responsibility for what we make of it. And we are the root of it. Like, it's human behavior, it's the root. It's not things, it's the behavior. We
Right.
can't blame social media for doing this and doing that. Like, social media doesn't work without us. Nothing really works until you do, you know?
Yeah.
So uh,
Mhm.
just kind of, I think as humans, if we take responsibility for that, like,
Mhm.
society will be a much better place. It'll be a much happier place. And understand, like, this beautiful gift that you have, like I can create and I can remember. Like I can remember. That's a good thing. But
Yeah.
when we think of remembering, we often think of pain and trauma and suffering, and we might fear that coming and re-happening again. And then we think about the future. We don't want it to happen. So we're actually suffering because of a great gift that we've been given, like memory and creativity. Like, I'm saying that because I want people to see it and be like, okay, I don't have to suffer because of these. These are gifts. This is an ability that only humans have.
Right.
No other animal has that. And
Mhm.
it was given to us for us to use in the most productive and loving way to help you, to help myself, to help us all kind of collectively move forward and try to maximize this entire human experience if that's possible.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
Yeah, pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Like pain happens to all of us, but we don't have to suffer because of it.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds so cheesy, but it's kind of like a choice, you know? Like you
It
can
is.
choose for yourself if you want to stay there in that
Mm-hmm.
unhealed, sad, broken part of yours. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not saying that the things that are happening to one, that they're not worth saying that that person suffered. They had to endure pain or it
Mm-hmm.
was caused to them. That's
Mm-hmm.
not what that's I'm
Mm-hmm.
completely respectful of that, but even that part, in my opinion, is something that had to happen in your life for you to understand who you really are in his
Mm-hmm.
creation, you
Mm-hmm.
know? So when my
Mm-hmm.
mom died, and then shortly after, my son's dad moved out of our home, and then COVID happened, there was many times where I was like, wow, this is kind of like a lot all at once. But really, for the very first time in my life, I understood how I really need to look at who I am for me
Mm-hmm.
without being, without being a daughter, without being a wife, without being,
Mm-hmm.
a sister to my sister. Like, who was I really within myself to me, and who was I to him, to God? You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
only those really sad circumstances actually allowed me to go there that deep. Because
Yeah.
before, I had my safety net, I had my comfort zone. I didn't need to,
Mm-hmm.
nor did I want it to, trust me. you
Yeah.
know, but now this situation really forced me to actually look at myself and be like, okay, who are you
Mm-hmm.
without the
Yeah.
title,
Yeah.
without all of that? Like, what do you do now? Are you worthless because you don't have that? Because you don't have
Mm-hmm.
parents anymore? You're an orphan now? Are you worthless? No, you're not.
Mm-hmm.
But who are you then?
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah. That's
and
one, one heck of a thing to kind of go through and realize like it's like the pain, yes, and then there's this other side of it that's like because you had the courage to look at it, like,
Mhm.
and what that brings to you, it's like it can't be taken away at all. Like you now have this foundation within you that's even more firm, even more even affirmed, you know, from the
Yeah.
higher source that this is who you are, this is what you are. You are still like good, like you are still really, really good. And
Hmm.
in those moments like that, I like to think about and write down sometimes because maybe sometimes I need to see it. I call them inevitables. And these are
Hmm.
things that I cannot change. And these are things that's going to happen. Uh,
Right.
and I like to see that because it helps me to put things in perspective. It keeps fear away because I'm going right to it. Um, it really reduces the amount of stress around certain situations, especially when it comes to grieving and losing someone. It's
Hmm.
these things are inevitable, and I need to look at that so I can figure out how to best respond.
Right.
You know, so.
I really resonated with the fact when you said, you write those things down and fear and you go right to it, meaning that you actually addressing right then and there your actual fear that you're so most afraid of.
Hmm.
And I didn't do that for a long time, because who wants to think about that? You know what I mean? Who wants to
Yeah.
even think about, somebody that you love or dying or something like that. But now learning that and mastering that, I think it's actually a great way of really, like you said, keeping fear away because now it doesn't have an opportunity to stronghold you no more.
Hmm.
Because you're
Yeah.
looking at it, you're facing it, you're like, okay, I know you're here, and that's cool.
Yeah.
Like you can stay as long as I'm allowing you to stay. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because
Hmm.
fundamentally, like we said at the beginning, it's all kind of like within ourselves to control,
Hmm.
what we really allow or what we don't really allow. It's nothing that we can change what already had
Hmm.
happened, but we can certainly change to decide if we want to remain in that way of behavior, thinking, mindset, whatever, or if we want to maybe mind shift and just go in another direction.
Hmm.
But I'm so curious. the entire talk that we had, was this kind of like one of the reasons why you created your Love No Ego Foundation? I'm just so curious. Was this a big
Yeah,
part of it?
yeah, everything was a part of it. My experiences,
Yeah,
uh, the way we treat each other as humans,
yeah,
political climate of country. I never really liked politics at all. I never been just like attracted to it and I never been like just wanting to be this socially interesting person. Like I didn't, I could sit over here and just be quiet while everybody else talks,
right.
especially about, topics of the world. Like I just never been into that, but
Yeah.
if you ask me like, how you feeling? Like, what do you want? And then it perks me up and I like to have those conversations.
Yeah.
So I just never was attracted to things like that. And I just wonder why like the world has to be so noisy and care about so many
Mhm.
things that doesn't serve the human spirit. Uh,
Mhm.
so I just hit this wall of just unfulfillment and no purpose and mistakes and the world sucks and why do we treat each other like this? Like
Mhm.
why is why are people killing each other for money? Like they're printing more money right now. Like they're printing it right now. Right? Like as we talk, money is being printed. That tells me I can probably get it from somewhere. I can earn it. I can get it. But like they're not printing more time, they're not printing more life for you. Like I don't want to take your life for some paper. Like I
Right.
just saw it that simply. And actually I was into the music and I used to write and produce and I was living in California and I was like, man, we need more love, less ego, because I see the ego everywhere. I'm a former college athlete, ego. I'm a health coach, personal trainer, wellness guy, ego. Uh, Music industry, specifically hip hop and R&B, which I was producing. I did do some gospel stuff. Ego. I'm like, is anybody out here talking some truth? Like.
Yeah.
And then again, my mistakes that I made along the way, I was like, man, wow, I see it clearly. I see it clearly why I did that. I see the programming that was placed on me. I see that my parents did the best they could, but hey, I still picked up some things from them. And I was just like, we just need more love, less ego. So I wrote an album about it, a music project, which I don't really share, but it's out there. You can see it on Apple Music. It's me. I got a baby picture on the front, and it's like I'm trying to like strip layers of the world off and tell everybody to go back to that kid, that curiosity, just into everything kid, like be free,
Yeah.
explore. And
Yeah.
I had a mentor at that time. I still do, that same guy to this day. Uh, and I told him about it. I told him, I said, "Hey, bro, like I'm going to do one more music project, and then I'm going to something else." And he goes, "Okay, what is this one?" I did like five, six, and many, many other songs and albums for other people.
Mhm.
But he goes, "Oh, okay, what's the name of this one?" And I told him, I said it's gonna be called Love No Ego. And he was like, "Whoa." He said, "What did you say?" I said, "Love No Ego." And he's like,
Right.
"That's big." He was like, "That's big. That's phenomenal." And he's like, "We need to do something else with that. Like, it just can't be music." He said, "Honestly, I wouldn't even put it in music. Like, I would forget music. So I did the album anyway. And while I did it, I was already thinking about the nonprofit and forming it because I had experience being a residential counselor in Pittsburgh, Philadelphia. I was a case manager. I was a life skills coach, all working with youth. I ran a runaway shelter for teenage girls in Pittsburgh. Uh, we did several personal development and sports camps for youth when I was in college. So I had all this like love for it. And I ended up getting undergrad bachelor's in radio broadcast and journalism. Then I got a master's in psychology and I got a second master's in organizational development and leadership psychology. So I had the personal psychology as well as organizational and cultural psychology education. And I was like, 2012, I was like, I'm moving home. I met my wife at that time. I'm moving home. I'm starting a nonprofit. It's going to be called Love No Ego Foundation. We're going to mentor youth. We're going to give them this truth and show them how their ego is limiting them, getting in the way, blocking more than it's helping, and show them that love is the natural space that we naturally have, that you naturally have.
Yeah,
Why not maximize this and look at this and pay attention to this intuitive space and then let it
exactly.
in, you know? So
Exactly.
now it'll be 9 years next month.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm, and this was really when we had our personal conversation, this was such a big part of me so wanting for you to be a guest on my podcast because I'm so grateful that there's humans like you out there that are really understanding what life really is about. Do you know what I mean? And really taking all of that, what they have been given by being book smart, but also being street smart, but also being connected and rooted in the spirit of him and executing his character here on earth the best that
Hmm.
we can. And then
Hmm.
you take all of that and then a project like that comes out, and
Yeah.
it's just so helpful because we need people like that. We need these type of organizations to really help humanity, help
Hmm.
our young children, our leaders. Like those kids are going to be our leaders at one point, and if they're not being installed with good love rooted examples of what it really is to be just a good human, and not think about so much the ego and not think about jumping over on anybody else's situation or just to get first there
Yeah.
or something, but just to be more in a collective, like and helping each other, because there's nothing, you're not losing anything, like you're not losing anything if you're just using kind words like thank you and you're welcome and
Hmm.
please. Like that's that's almost like, every time when you say a sentence, one of those things have to be almost incorporated in those sentences. Can you
Yeah.
please
Yeah.
get me a cup of coffee? Can you please get me that pen over there? Thank you.
Hmm.
Like it's so quick. It doesn't take anything. It doesn't cost anything. It just really displays good manners and
Yeah.
respect for each other, like
Yeah.
what we really should have. So I'm so happy that you started this foundation. It's
Yeah.
such
We're serving, we have 8 mentors. We're serving about 20 kids that's in our program
wow,
right now. We see them at least once a week. We do a lot of
wow.
nature activities and hammocking and mountain climbing, and we have discovery conversational like circles while we're in woods and in nature, and we do a lot of typical things, traditional things around mentoring, like goal setting and things of that sort. But we
Mhm.
really incorporate a lot of nature. We're in hammocks, we are in kayaks, we are hiking, we adopt trails, we build benches at parks, we are building our own park. The kids are building the park. Like it's their ideas that we're bringing to
That's
life in
amazing.
this park. We're in
That's
phase two of
amazing.
that, so
Yeah.
it's just about love. It's just really, really about love. And,
And
I'm
living
thinking of a
life
story.
and
Yes.
and living life in the end,
Yeah.
like living life, like
Hmm.
doing the things that we forgot how to do before all this
Hmm.
adultness
Yeah.
responsibility put on you,
Yeah.
life all of a
Yeah.
sudden had happened, but just
Hmm.
living life, remembering how nice it really can be, to just like you said, go to the library, sit there for a half hour, just sit there, pick
Hmm.
up a book, just see if that kind
Yeah.
of resonates with you, or go have some
Yeah.
frozen yogurt. Like I
Hmm.
love to take myself out on a self date. I go
Hmm.
regularly out on dates with myself. I dress up, I
Yeah.
do my hair, I go for a nice lunch I'm serious.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
so awkward for me at the beginning when I first told myself I want to do that, but I'm like, but
Hmm.
why not? If
Hmm.
I cannot enjoy my own company and I'm happy with me, why would I expect maybe somebody else to just be all wanting to
Hmm.
spend time with me and be in my company? I need to
Yeah.
be first and foremost happy with myself.
Yeah. Me and my wife, we say this thing to each other. We say,
Mhm.
I'm going to take care of me for you, and I'll
Right.
take care of me for you. Like, we of course we
Yeah.
have each other back and
Of
we'll be
course.
there, of course. But we have this thing where we look at it and like say like, how much better will we be if I have better experiences? Like, well, think about if I get 10 times smarter, 10 times better, 10 times more grateful. She's coming along for the ride. This is gonna be great, you know. And think
Totally.
about like what we can do together, So we have this thing, So and I always share with people that I always share this that giving, like there's no other feeling that can replace giving.
Yeah.
Receiving is cool. That's great. Thank you. But the feeling of giving like extends for like eternity. Like it just goes. And I always share with people, especially our youth and the kids in our program and any other youth that we encounter. I say, please, like just allow your giving to outweigh your desire to receive. Like,
Hmm.
don't be up here with, I need this, I need that, I need this, I need that, I need that, but you're not giving anything.
Right.
If you want joy, don't you think you should give joy? If you want love, don't you think you should give love? If you want to receive, like if you want to be heard, don't you think you should listen to somebody else? Like,
Yeah.
it's almost like I'm going to be responsible and I'm going to create the condition for it. Like, I'm going to create
Yeah.
the environment for it. If I want peace, guess what I have to do? I have to be peaceful, at least practice it,
Exactly. Yeah.
So, we were in the
Yeah.
store yesterday. I have 4 kids on my caseload. I'm still mentoring some kids, and I had 2 of them. We were doing a group session yesterday. We stopped at this store, and we had played in the James River. It's a big river here, and did some hiking. Did about like 2 miles of hiking, mile and a half to 2 miles of hiking. I'm talking like climbing rocks. They were killing this. We had a good time. And then on the way home, we stopped at this store, and we came to get in line, and the woman that was in front, well, first of all, the guy in the deli, he said, "Hey, Fred, what's up, man?" And I end up knowing him. He's working, and we just share a couple of quotes back to each other, like, "Man, life is beautiful. Like, how you doing?" And the kids are all like listening, looking, or whatever. So they get to see this interaction, very positive. And then we go to the register to cash out. The lady in front of us forgets her wallet. Like she has a few things, and she forgets her wallet, and she goes out. And I had a bag of like chips or something that one of the kids were like they were going to split. So I went to pay for the sandwich that we got from the deli and the chips. And I told the cashier, I was like, just add this to it, and I'm gonna pay for it. You know. And I put Love No Eagle stickers in her bag, right? So I paid for it, and we're walking out, and she's coming back in the store, and I
Hmm.
and I'm walking, and I kind of lean over to her, and she look at me. I just kind of get in her way a little bit. I said, "I hope you don't mind. Like I paid for your groceries just now," and she just gave me a big hug, and I kissed her on the cheek, and we went on out the store,
And
and
that was it. Yeah.
yeah, and it was such
It's
a
like
beautiful
paying
thing.
forward. You're just simply paying forward to something amazing, not because you have the expectation of something coming back to you, but
Mhm.
because you just can.
Yeah, and it feels
It's so
good.
simple. Yeah.
And it
And if
feels
you
really
can,
good. Hmm.
yeah, and if you can, then you can. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, why don't
Yeah.
you if you really can? Like, what is it gonna cost somebody to just go, just an example, on
Hmm.
somebody's Instagram page and just press a like on all of their content or just press a follow, even though you've, like, I'm saying, if you resonate with the person, obviously,
Right.
right? If you like it.
Yeah.
But even if you don't, why don't you just go and support? What,
Hmm.
sorry, that was my
What
cup.
was
But
did you knock it over?
I did. See, it's truth what I'm saying too.
Oh
But
man.
what does it doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't cost you anything. It just simply
Right.
costs you to be like friendly and upfront and really
Hmm.
doing something that can do with
Yeah.
with
What's
with
the
nothing to
thing?
you.
Yeah, the messages that the world sends to 90% of media, TV, and whatever. It's like if I give you something, I'm losing. I must have lost something.
Right.
If you won something or gained something, I must have lost out on something. It's like this thing that keeps us greedy, like, no, this is
Mhm.
mine, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And and it's the same thing with like hurting people or attacking people. Like you must think you can get something out of this. Like by me
Mhm.
hurting you, like I must feel that I'm getting something. Like I whatever what is that I'm getting? Maybe, like I'm thinking revenge or something, And
Yeah.
I try to break the concept of it down so people can really see it. Like what do you really get out of hurting somebody? You get nothing. Like you just sharing this space of pain and hurt and suffering. Like you must feel attacked in order to attack, right? Like you must have felt hurt of some kind, and now you feel like it's reasonable to hurt another person, you
Yeah. I
know?
mean, isn't there a saying that when they say hurt people?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah,
So I mean, that's kind of like really what it all comes down to. But that's why I'm even more so grateful that, you created this foundation because this is a really, this is fundamental, it's
mm-hmm,
and sometimes we all not privileged to have, a mom and a dad at home or loving grandparents or aunts and uncles that really take care of us. Sometimes we don't. And then, we need foundations and people like
mm-hmm.
you that help us to understand what the value of life really means.
Yeah,
If
absolutely.
you, yeah, but if you don't mind, I would love to put your website. However,
Mhm.
we can link into the description of this episode. I would love to share that if that's okay with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
Please do. Yeah,
Okay, great. Yeah, I had such a nice conversation with you. Thank you so much for coming. This
yeah.
was this was so wonderful.
It's been great to meet you, and let's stay in touch. And you're in California.
That's right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I might be out there sometime and say hello in person, get a tea or
And that,
something, you
yes,
know?
then it's a nice smoothie or something. Yeah, done.
Yeah.
Let's do
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Well,
yeah, please share the website and share the
I will.
information, and let's keep allowing love to do what it does.
Exactly. And with that, podcast lovers, there you have it. If you have anything on your heart that you would like to share, if you want to be a part of this amazing movement and you come and help somebody else with your story, with anything that you think can help another human, feel free to come and join my mic. But until then, stay rooted, stay blessed, and always stay connected to love, the strongest force in the universe.